If I could fall under the command of one fictional leader, it would be Jean-Luc Picard. No question about it. Picard is the definition of leadership. He's humble. He admits faults. He's all about self-improvement. He recognizes personal failings. He asks for help. His crew comes first. Picard is thoughtful, introspective, calculated, friendly, and stern when necessary. Hey, you can like Star Wars and Star Trek. It's this traitor crap. Shut up. I love Star Trek, and The Next Generation is my Star Trek. So that's what I'll specifically talk about here. I've talked about TNG hundreds of times over the years on my live streams, maybe even thousands of times, but I don't think I've ever discussed Star Trek The Next Generation in a video. And with the Picard series coming out this week, there's no better time than now. Oh, I hope it's good. Oh God, I hope it's good. I'm not expecting it to be like TNG. I hope it's good. Star Wars, explores a galaxy far, far away. Star Trek explores our own backyard in a relatively realistic and believable future. I love TNG for its optimism. It carries Roddenberry's vision of a future where humanity's greatest objective is to search for knowledge and new life. And we've solved most of the other problems, so let's work together, be pioneers across this vast galactic ocean. Let's be custodians, let's be ambassadors. The Next Generation is a mirror to the modern world. Most Star Trek is, not just TNG, in fact, most science fiction is a mirror to the modern world. And TNG certainly fits this description. Culture is dissected and evaluated, relationships, scientific problems, problems with governance, war, tribalism, purpose, tradition. The problems of today are represented and reflected in The Next Generation. I love Star Wars and Star Trek for completely different reasons. You all know that I have a space obsession. Astronomy, the space program, the history of it all, and Star Trek just meshes so well with my love for all of that. Because what it boils down to is exploration. Exploration for the sake of knowledge. Exploration to scratch that itch we all have to walk untamed paths, or sail uncharted seas, or just to see what's on the other side of that hill. That, to me, is what The Next Generation and Star Trek represents. Some of my favorite episodes of The Next Generation are often data heavy. Data, he's the fish out of water, trying to understand best he can what makes humans tick. He learns about events in history or cultural norms or various other human experiences, but obviously he has no emotional connection to them because he has no emotions. Data is the impartial third party. He's all computation. He's all analytics. He's there to observe. And when he really tries to understand humanity or emulate humanity, it can often be touching. My least favorite stuff in TNG? Klingons. Whenever there's a Klingon-heavy episode, it does nothing for me. Klingons are boring to me. They're like generic uber warriors. And don't get me wrong, there are really interesting moral questions that come up in some of the Klingon-heavy episodes, especially when Worf is heavily involved and he's trying to evolve past and beyond a lot of his culture's traditions, or at least struggling to find his place and figure out who he truly is. There's a lot of interesting moral conundrums that get brought up, but for the most part, Klingon episodes aren't that interesting to me. Every episode of TNG is a new adventure, and a unique and often thoughtful adventure. Whether it's the holodeck and the illusion of reality, or Wesley lying to everyone to save his own skin at the academy, or time travel loops, or, there are so many really interesting ideas in the show, some of which really work and some of which are just kind of meh. The show is often incredibly thoughtful and sometimes soap opera-y. But overall, if there's a piece of science fiction that kind of hits the nail on the head of what I love about the science fiction genre, it is Star Trek The Next Generation. Exploration, problem solving, philosophy, and Captain Jean-Luc Picard. I think my love for the character of Jean-Luc Picard is enhanced by my time in the Navy. In the military, you see great examples of leadership, and you also see poor examples of leadership. You see a lot of poor examples of leadership. I've had fantastic officers over me who I would describe as, Picard-ish. Interesting conversations, even thought experiments with some of the officers. The particular officer that I'm thinking of is one that I deployed with, and he always asked everyone how they were doing, if they needed anything. He brought up some thought experiments and just really introspective and interesting guy that took the entire detachment under his wing. He looked out for his men. An officer like that is the type of officer that you want to serve under. And I've had officers over me who you could tell their main goal was self-promotion and just climbing the ladder of rank above all else. So, Picard is an exemplary officer. He's what officers should thrive to be like. Picard is my captain. Sorry, Han.